There are some incredible older drummers out there. Travis Barker looks like he's in the best physical shape of his life. Stuart Copeland plays like he's still in his 20s. And Dorothy Taylor, aka the godmother of drumming, is blowing our minds with covers of Blink-182 at Drumeo HQ. But the advantage these legends have is they started at a very young age. Is it possible for us mortals to progress fast over the age of 30? Is it more challenging? Is it even possible? Well, let's talk about that. When I was 10 years old, I was lucky enough to get a guitar for my birthday. It completely changed my life and set the path for the next 20 years of songwriting, touring and recording with some of my best friends. Fast forward to 2023, after all of that's ended, and I finally started scratching that long lost itch of playing drums. And it's been the best journey I could have hoped for over the last 19 months. In this video, I'm going to compare the process of learning age 10 with how I'm learning now, age 33. How it compares and how you can pick up a new instrument, guitar, saxophone, drums, you name it. And spoiler alert, it's never too late. We're going to look at 3 key areas: the mind, our life situation, and the body. And at the end of this video, I'm going to introduce to you a massive inspiration that just shows that big dreams are still legit, however old you are. Before we look at any pluses and minuses though, we need to remember that it being too late is just an idea that we have in our minds. It's a belief that we can change through more evidence or more understanding, and that's what this video is for. One thing that I think is really important as we get older is to understand the goal of why we want to learn an instrument. Do we want to join a band? Do we want to get a record deal? Do we want to start a YouTube channel? Do we want to play a 6 solo at our wedding? Whatever it is, we just need to adjust that to our age. When I was learning guitar at 10 years old, my identity was yet to be formed and I was wide open to being a musician, being a guitarist, being a guitar teacher. And if anybody asked me what I did or who I was, I'll just say I was a boy. I wasn't a musician or a music teacher or a guitarist. But now if somebody asks me what I do or who I am, I have this identity attached to me. So I'm either a musician, a YouTuber, a designer, which makes it a little bit more difficult to take on a new hobby and take it seriously or change our career when we get older. There's obviously loads of benefits to learning young, and apparently we have more malleable pathways in our brain. Tara Swart, who's a senior lecturer at MIT, says it takes about 4.5 months for a new brain map equal in complexity to the old one to be created. So we need to be learning at least 4.5 months to be able to form these new pathways. Whereas when we're younger, these things are much easier to form. So when we first start playing an instrument, it's going to feel very uncomfortable and very strange to us. We're going to have to force ourselves to practice and play and get over the fears that we have right at the beginning. But we can form these pathways at any age. It just takes a little bit more focused attention and a little bit more energy from our part, especially at the beginning when we're just building up those connections. So I'm sure you want to know how we can counteract this. As adults, we're much more self-aware and we have the ability to be much more strategic with our practice and with our playing. So if we're able to create and plan strategic sessions and plan for the future as well, then actually we're able to progress and grow just as fast as when we were younger. So I want to talk about fears a little bit, as it's very relevant to me and anyone over the age of 30. As adults, we tend to build up this fear over time. Fear of failure, fear of success, and fear of judgment, what other people are going to think of us. And sometimes this can be something that stops us from learning a new instrument or going and getting something that we really, really want. But the great thing about music is it's one of those skills that people can do at any age and it's just respected. It's not like taking up the yo-yo or the pogo stick, for example.
At the Windmill Theatre use them to keep fit for their strenuous routines.
The best thing to do, in my opinion, is to not compare yourself to others, but only compare yourself to yourself yesterday. And that way we're just going to be growing and growing over time. It's just human nature to avoid daunting experiences. And maybe learning an instrument at an older age has the potential for more judgment to be attached to it. But again, we're able to identify this and to put it aside and just get on with it anyway. And second to that, we're less likely to fail on a goal once we understand our fears. So we're more likely to achieve success in the instrument than when we're younger. As a 10-year-old, I didn't really have much to do. I'd come back from school and I just practiced guitar for hours and hours. And on the weekends, I'd just write songs with my friends. It was Kind of a nice time actually. As adults, we have way more on our plate. We might have a family, a mortgage, we need to look after ourselves more. So how can we make practice a part of our lives? So firstly, we need to make practicing really easy. So that might look like carving out time each day to practice, or having your kit or your pad out at all times so you can practice when you want to. The easier we can make it to practice, the more likely we're going to do it. And if we can plan and create effective practice sessions, we're going to progress faster than the 10-year-old that's sitting there jamming with no plan for their practice. With any luck, later in our lives, we may have a little bit more money in our pocket. We might be able to get better kit. We might even have a studio in the garden, who knows? And these things are going to make us more excited to practice more consistently, and progress faster in the long run. But what if we don't think we have enough time to get to the level that we want to achieve? Well, in that case, I think it's best to niche down on a style of drumming or maybe a genre of music and just focus on that. And we'll progress so much faster by niching down and just focusing on that one style. When we're learning an instrument at the age of 10, we're not thinking about our bodies at all. But as we get older, we're more aware of our body and how we need to look after it. We might have more of a focus on injury prevention, like getting a nice throne or stool. We might have shorter sessions as well and not be able to sit there for 8 hours, for example. But one thing I think about a lot now is sitting in a dark room in a basement playing drums is probably not the best thing for mental health. So we need to think about breaks as well. But I can promise you there are some positives to this. We can make our sessions comfortable, we can be mindful, we can be present. We can use it as an escape from the busyness of life. And if we look after our bodies, we can literally play music for the rest of our life. And that's a wonderful thing to think about. And here's some proof that it's never too late from the legend C6 Steve. I love how he uses homemade instruments, has such a simple, raw and authentic style. And he didn't find fame until he was in his 60s with a performance on Jools Holland. He says, if you enjoy what you're doing and you keep doing it, something good's gonna happen. And I 100% agree with that. Basically, it reminds us that success isn't about age or status, but it's about passion and staying true to yourself. Whether you're 16 or 60, your moment could still be ahead. Thanks so much for watching. Keep hitting stuff and I'll see you in the next video.